play is called Our Town. The day is May 7, 1901, and the time is just before dawn. The sky is beginning to show some streaks of light over in the east there, behind your mountain. Well, I'd better show you how the town lies. Up here is the main street. Way back there is the railway station, college towns across the tracks. Over there is the Congregational Church, Methodist and Unitarian are over there. Across the street is the Presbyterian. Baptist is down in the hollow by the river. Catholic Church is over beyond the tracks. Here's the town hall and post office combined. Jail's in the basement. Here is Mr. Morgan's drugstore, and here's the grocery store. Most everybody in town manages to look into these two stores once a day. Public schools over yonder, high school still farther over. 9 o'clock mornings, noon times, 3 o'clock afternoons. The whole town can hear the yelling and screaming from the schoolyards. This is our doctor's house, Dr. Gibbs. And this is the back door. This is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. There are corn, peas, hollyhocks, heliotrope, and a lot of burdock. And this here is Mrs. Webb's garden. Just like Mrs. Gibbs. Only, it's got a lot of sunflower too. Nice town. Y'all know what I mean? Nobody very remarkable has ever come out of it, as far as we know. The earliest tombstones in the cemetery up there say 1670, 1680. There are Cartwrights, Rovers, Gibbses, and Percys. Same names as around here. Well, as I said, it's about done. Another day's begun. Here comes Dr. Gibbs coming down Main Street. And here's his wife coming downstairs to make breakfast.
Morning, Doc Gibbs.
Morning, Joe.
Anybody been sick, Doc?
No, just some twins brought over to Polish Town.
You got your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it. Anything serious going on in the world since Wednesday?
Yes, sir. My school teacher. Miss Foster's getting married to a fellow in Concord.
I declare. How do you boys feel about that?
Well, of course it's none of my business, but I personally feel that if a person starts out in the future, they ought to stay one.
Want to tell you something about that boy Joe Crowell there. Joe was awful bright. Graduated from high school here and head of his class. So, he got a scholarship to MIT. Head of his class there too. It was all wrote up in the Boston paper at the time. Gonna be a great engineer. Joe was. But the war broke out and he died in France. All that education for nothing?
Get up, Bessie. What's the matter with you today? Morning, Doc.
Morning, Howie.
Somebody sick?
A pair of twins over to Mr. Gorslowski's.
Oh, twinsing. The town's getting bigger every year.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Mr. Gibbs.
Seems like you're late today.
Yeah, something went wrong with the separator. Don't know what it was. Doc, come on, Bessie.
Children, time to get up. George, Rebecca, you're gonna be late for school. Everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. Easy as kittens.
Sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple hours sleep this morning. Can't you?
Mrs. Wentworth's coming at 11. Guess I know what it's about too. We're trying to get what ought to be.
All told, you won't get more than 3 hours of sleep. Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's gonna become of you. I do wish you could go away someplace nice and take a rest. I think it would do you good.
Emily, time to get up. Wally, 7 o'clock.
I declare, you've got to speak to George. Seems like something's come over him lately. He's been no help to me at all.
Is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he thinks about is that baseball. George, Rebecca, you're gonna be late for school. George?
George, look sharp.
Yes, Mom.
Don't your mother call you? I guess I'll go upstairs and get 40 minutes.
Wally, Emily, you'll be late for school. Wally, you wash yourself clean, otherwise I'll come up there and do it myself.
Ma, what dress should I wear?
Be quiet. Your father's been out all night and he needs his rest. Here, I washed and ironed the blue gingham for you. Special.
But Ma, I hate this
Oh,
dress.
what's up with you?
Every day I go to school dressed like a sick turkey.
Now, Rebecca, you know you always look very nice.
Ma, George is throwing soap at me.
I'll come and slap the both of you. That's what I'll do.
Hear it? Makes blankets.
Children, now I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any meal of the day, and I won't have it gobbling it like wolves. It'll stunt your growth, now that's a fact. Put away the book, Wally.
Mom, at 10 o'clock I got to know all about Canada.
You know the rules as well as I do. No books at the table. As for me, I'd rather have my children healthy than bright.
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'm bright too, you know, when I'm looking at my stamp collection.
I'll speak to your father about it once he's rested. Seems to me 25 cents a week's not enough for a boy your age. I do declare, I don't know how to spend it all.
But Ma, I got a lot of things to buy.
Candies, that's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I've been saving and I'm gradual.
Well, dear, I think it's a good thing to spend some every now and then.
Mama, do you know what I love most in this world? Do you?
What?
Money.
Oh, eat your breakfast.
Mama, that's the first bell. I gotta hurry. I don't want it anymore.
Walk fast, but you don't have to run. Wally, move your pants up to the knee. And stand up straight, Emily.
Tell Miss Foster I sent her my best congratulations. Can you remember that? You look real nice, Rebecca. Pick up your feet. Here, chick, chick, chick. Here, chick, chick. Oh, not you. You don't belong here. Get away from here. Good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still get that tickling feeling in the back of my throat. I told Charles I didn't know as I go to choir practice tonight. Wouldn't be any use.
Have you tried singing over your voice?
Yes, but somehow I could never do that and stay on the key.
Now, Myrtle, I've got something to tell you. Because if I don't tell someone, I'm afraid I'm gonna burst.
Why, Julia Gibbs?
Myrtle, do you remember those second-hand furniture men that came from Boston last Friday?
No.
Well, he called on me. First, I thought he was one of Dr. Gibbs' patients, but then he wormed his way into my parlor and Myrtle Webb. He offered me $350 for Grandmother Wentworth's highboy, as I'm sitting here.
Why, Julia Gibbs?
He did that old thing. Why? It was so big I didn't even know where to put it. I almost gave it to Cousin Hester Wilcox.
Well, you're going to take it, aren't you?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know? $350. What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take the money and take me somewhere nice, I'd sell it like that. You know, Myrtle, it's been the dream of my life to see Paris, France. I know it seems crazy, I suppose, but I promised myself that if we ever got the chance.
And how does the doctor feel about that?
Oh, well, I did beat around the bush a little and said that if I got that legacy, that's the way I put it, I'd make him take me somewhere.
And what did he say?
Oh, you know how he is. I haven't heard a serious word out of him since I met him. No, he said, it might make him discontented with Grover's Corner to go traipsing about Europe. Better let well enough alone, he says.
Well, if that second-hand man's really serious about buying a Julia Gibbs, you sell it, all right? And then you'll get to see Paris. Just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know?
Well, I'm sorry I mentioned it, Myrtle. Only it seems to me that at least once in your life before you die, you ought to visit a place where they don't talk in English. And they don't even want to.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Now let's skip a few hours. But first, we want a little more information about the town. Kind of a scientific account, you might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our state university to sketch in a few details about our town here. Is Professor Willard here? May I introduce you, Professor Willard of our state university. A few brief notes, Professor. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners. Well, now let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the old Pliocene ground of the Appalachian Range. I may say, it's some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that. Some highly interesting fossils have been found. No, I may say, unique fossils. 2 miles out of town in South Beckham's farmhouse. Shall I read some of Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation, meaning precipitation, etc.?
Afraid we won't have time for that, Professor. May we have a few words on the history of man here?
Yes, anthropological data. Early Amerindian stock, Cotahatchee tribes. No evidence before the 10th century of this era. Now, entirely disappeared. Possible traces in 3 families.
And the population, Professor Willard?
Within town limits, 2,640.
Just a minute, Professor.
Yes, indeed. The population at home is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, being a total of 3,149. Mortality and birth rates constant by McPherson's gauge 6.032.
Thank you, Professor. I'm sure we're all very much obliged, sir.
Not at all, sir. Not at all.
This way, Professor. And thank you again. Now, the political and social report. Editor Webb. Mr. Webb?
He'll be here in a minute. He cut his finger while trying to eat an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles, everyone is waiting.
Mr. Webb is the publisher and editor of the Grover's Corner Senator. That's our local paper, you know.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by a board of selectmen. All males vote at the age of 21. Women vote indirect. We're lower middle class sprinkling of professional men, 10% of literate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republicans, 6% Democrats, 4% Socialists, rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestants, 12% Catholics, rest indifferent.
Have you any comments, Mr. Webb?
A very ordinary town, if you ask me. A little better behaved than most, but our young people here seem to like it well enough. 90% of them graduating from high school come down right here to live, even when they've been away to college.
Now, is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask Mr. Webb a question about the town?
Mr. Webb? Mr. Webb? Is there any love for beauty in Grover's Corners?
Well, there ain't much. Not in the sense that you mean. Come to think of it, there's some girls that play the piano at high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture. But maybe this is the place to tell you we've got a lot of the pleasures of a kind here.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Now let's go back to the town. It's early afternoon. All 2,642 have had their dinners, and all the dishes have been washed. There's an early afternoon calm in our town. There's a buzzing and a humming from the school buildings. Only a few buggies on Main Street. The horses are dozing off at the hitching post. Now, you all know what it's like. Dr. Gibbs is in his office, tapping people and making them say, ah. And Mr. Webb is cutting the lawn over there. No, sir, it's later than I thought. The children are back from school already.
I can't, Louis. I've got to go home and help my mother. I promised.
Emily, walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Oh, Papa, you're terrible. 1 minute you tell me to stand up straight and next you call me names. I just don't listen to you.
Golly, never got a hug from such a great lady before.
Hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech today in class.
Well, I was really ready to make a speech on the Monroe Doctrine, but at the last minute, Miss Cochrane told me to talk about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. From my window up here, I can see your headlights when you're doing your homework.
Why can't you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't see how you can sit still for that long. I guess you like school.
Well, I always feel like it's something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind it really. It passes the time.
Hey, Emily, what do you think? Maybe we could work on a kind of telegraph from your window to mine. And maybe once in a while you can give me a hint or two on one of those algebra problems. I don't read the answers, Emily. Of course not. Just some little hints.
Well, I think hints are allowed, so if you get stuck, George, you whistle to me, and I'll give you some hints.
Emily, you're just naturally bright, I guess.
Well, I figure just the way a person's born.
Yeah, but you see, I want to be a farmer. And my uncle said whenever I'm ready, I can come over and work. And if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Emily. I better be getting out to the baseball field. Thanks for the talk, though. Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Emily, come help me string these beads. George Gibbs lets himself have a fine conversation, didn't he? Why, he's growing up. How old would he be?
I don't know.
Let's see now. He must be 16.
Mama, I made a speech in class today, and I was very good.
That's wonderful. You must recite it to your father at supper. What was it about?
The Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk off the spool. I'm going to make speeches all my life. Mama, will you answer me a question? Serious?
Seriously, dear, not serious.
Seriously, will you?
Of course I will.
Mama, am I good looking?
Yes, of course you are. All my children have good features. I'd be ashamed if they hadn't.
Oh, Mama, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
I already told you yes. Now that's enough. You have a nice young pretty face. I've never heard of such foolishness.
Oh, Mama, you never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Mama, were you pretty?
Yes, if I do say so myself. I was the prettiest girl in town, next to Mammy Cartwright.
Oh, Mama, but then you've got to say something about me. Am I pretty enough to get anybody, to get people interested in me?
Emily, you make me tired. Now that's enough. You're pretty enough for all normal circumstances.
Oh, Mama, you're no help at all.
Well, good deal of time has gone by. It's evening now. You could hear the choir practice going on at the Congregational Church. The children are at home doing their schoolwork. The day is running down like a tired clock.
Blessed be the tide that binds our hearts in Christian love, the fellowship of kindred minds is like to that above.
All right, ladies, let's do it again. And remember, music came into the world to give pleasure. Now again.
Before our Father's throne, we pour
Softer.
our hearts and prayers, our fears, our hopes, our aches,
Softer.
our comforts and our cares.
Now look here, everybody. Get it out of your heads that music's only good when it's loud. You leave loudness to the Mantares. You couldn't beat them even if you wanted to. Now again. Tenors.
Before our Father's throne, we pour our ardent prayers, our fears, our hopes, our aims, our comforts and our cares.
Emily. Hey, Emily.
Hello.
Hello.
I can't work at all. The moonlight's so terrible.
Emily, did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third.
Why, yes, George. That's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it, Emily. Mind if you give me a hint?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer's in yards.
In yards? How do you mean?
In square yards?
Oh, in square yards.
Yes, George. Don't you see?
Yeah.
In square yards of wallpaper?
Wallpaper. I see. Thanks a lot, Emily.
No problem. My, isn't moonlight terrible? And with choir practice going on? I think if you hold your breath, you can hear the train all the way to Katuka. Hear it?
What do you know?
Well, I guess I better go back and try to work.
Good night then, Emily. And thank you.
Good night, George.
Before our Father's throne, we pour our ardent prayers, our fears, our hopes, our aims, our comforts and our cares.
Well, that's better. And before I forget, how many of you will be able to come on Tuesday afternoon and sing at Fred Percy's wedding? Share hands. That'll be fine. That'll be right. Nice. We'll do the same music we did for Jane Thorpe Bridges last month. Now, we'll do Art Thou Weary, Art Thou Languid. That's a question, ladies and gentlemen. Make it talk. Ready?
Art thou weary, art thou languid, art thou sore distressed? Come to me, saith one, and coming be at rest. And he wants to lead me to him, if he be my guide. In his feet and hands are one grace.
Yes, Mom?
Make yourself comfortable, George. I'll only keep you in. George, how old are you?
Well, I'm 16, turning 17, Pa.
And what do you want to do when school's over?
Why, you know, Pa, I want to be a farmer. I'm not Luke's farmer.
You'll be willing, will you, to get up early, milk and feed the stock, and you'll be able to hoe and hay all day?
Of course, Pa. What do you mean?
Well, George, while I was in my office today, I heard a funny sound. And what do you think it was? It was your mother chopping wood. There I see your mother getting up early, cooking meals all day long, washing and ironing, and still she has to go out back and cut wood. I guess she just got tired of asking you. She just gave up and decided it was easier to do it herself. And you eat her meals, and you wear the clothes she keeps nice for you, and you run off and play baseball. Like she's some hired girl we keep at the house that we don't like very much. Well, I knew the best thing to do was call your attention to it. Here's a handkerchief, son. George, I've decided to raise your spending money 25 cents a week. Not, of course, for chopping wood for your mother, because that's a present you give to her, but because you're getting older, and I imagine there are lots of things you must find to do with it.
Thanks, Mom.
Let's see. Tomorrow's your payday. You can count on it. Probably Rebecca feels she has some support too. Wonder what could have happened to your mother. Choir practice was never as late as this before.
But it's only 8:30, Pa.
I don't know why she's in that old choir. She has no better voice than an old crow. Traipsing around the streets at this hour of the night. It's about time she retired, don't you think?
Yes, Mom.
Mr. Simpson.
Good night, Howie.
Good night, Mr. Morgan. Good night, Martha. Good night, Mr. Foster.
Real nice choir practice, wasn't it? Myrtle Webb, look at that moon, will you? Potato weather for sure. Naturally, I wouldn't want to say this in front of the others. But now that we're alone, this is the worst scandal to have ever been in this town. What? Simon Stimson or now Luella. But Julia, to have the organist of the church drink and drunk year after year. You know he was drunk tonight. Now Luella, we all know about Mr. Stimson. And we all know about the troubles he's been through. And Dr. Ferguson knows that too. And if Dr. Ferguson chooses to keep him on there in his job for any longer, then the only thing the rest of us can do is just not to notice it. Not to notice it? But it's getting worse.
No, it isn't, Luella. It's actually been getting better. I've been in that choir twice as long as you have, and it hasn't happened anywhere near so often. But I'd hate to go to bed at a night like this. I better hurry. The shooter will be sitting up till all hours. Good night, Julia. Good night, Luella.
Good night, Myrtle. Well, we had a real good time.
You're late enough.
Why, Frank, it's not any later than usual.
And you stopping at the corner to gossip with a lot of hens.
Oh, Frank, don't be so grouchy. Come outside with me. Just smell the heliotrope in the moonlight. Isn't that wonderful? Now, what did you do while I was away?
I read, as usual. What were the girls gossiping about tonight?
Oh, believe me, Frank, there is something to gossip about.
Simon Simpson, far gone, was he?
Oh, worst I've ever seen him. How will that end, Frank? Dr. Ferguson can't forgive him forever.
I guess I know more about Simon Simpson's affairs than anybody, so some people just aim it for small town life. I don't know how that'll end, but I guess the best thing we can do is just leave it alone. Come, let's get inside.
No, not yet. Frank, I'm worried about you.
What are you worried about?
Well, I believe it's my duty and job to get you a real rest and change. And if I get that legacy, well, I'm going to insist on it.
Julia, there's no sense of going over that again.
Frank, you're just unreasonable.
Come on, Julia, it's getting late. First thing you know, you'll catch cold. I gave her a piece of mine tonight. I rubbed in there at the wood shop for a while anyway. Now let's head upstairs.
You know, Frank, Mrs. Fairchild always locks her front door every night. All those people up that part of town do.
They're all getting citified. That's the trouble with them. They've got nothing fit to burgle, and everybody knows it.
Rebecca, get out of here. There's only room for one in this window. You're always smelling everything.
Well, let me look just a minute.
Use your own window.
I did, but there's the moon there, George. Do you know what I think? Do you? I think maybe the moon is getting nearer and nearer, and there will be a big explosion.
Rebecca, you don't know anything. If the moon were getting nearer and nearer, the guys that set up all night with the telescope would see it first. And it'd be all over the newspapers.
George, is the moon shining on South America, Canada, and half of the whole world?
Probably is. Probably is.
"9:30. Most of the lights are out. No, sir, there's Constable Warren trying to readers on Main Street. And here comes Editor Webb after putting his newspaper to bed.
Evening, Bill.
Oh, evening, Troy.
What a mood.
Yeah?
All quiet tonight?
Simon Simpson is rolling around and saw his water moving out to my friend. Zoop. And then I looked the other way. And there he is now.
Good evening, Simon. Time seems to have settled down for the night pretty well. Yes. Everyone settled down for the night, Simon. Guess you better do the same. Can I walk along the ways with you? Good night.
That's not end well, Troy.
Well, I've seen a peck of trouble. One thing and another. Good night, Bill.
Good night, Troy.
Who's that up there? Is that you, Myrtle?
No, it's me, Papa.
Why aren't you in bed?
I don't know. I just can't sleep yet, Papa. The moonlight's so wonderful, and the smell of Mrs. Gibbs' heliotrope. Can you smell it?
Yes. Having any troubles on your mind? You, Emily?
Troubles? Papa, no.
Well, enjoy yourself, but don't let your mother catch you. Good night, Emily.
Good night, Papa.
I never told you about that letter Jane Grandmother got from her minister when she was sick. He wrote Jane a letter, and on the envelope, the address went like this. It said, Jane Prophet, the Crawford Farm, Grover's Corners, Sutton County, New Hampshire, United States of America.
What's funny about that?
But listen, it's not finished yet. United States of America, continent of North America, Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God. That's what it said on the envelope.
What do you know?
And the postman brought it just the same.
What do you know?
Years have gone by. Yes, the sun has come up over 1,000 times. Some babies that weren't even born before have begun talking regular sentences already. And a number of young people who thought they were right, young and spry, have noticed that they come down the flight of stairs without their heart fluttering a little. All that can happen in 1,000 days. Nature has been pushing and contriving in other ways too. number of our young people fell in love and got married. Most everybody in the world gets married. In our town, there are hardly any exceptions. Most everybody in the world climbs their graves married. So, it's 3 years later, 1904, July 7th, right after high school commencement. Now, this is a time most of our young people jump up and get married. Soon as they've given their examinations in Cicero's orations and solid geometry, looks like they suddenly feel themselves fit to be married. It's early morning. Only this time it's raining. It's thundering and pouring. There, you can hear the 5:45 for Boston. And now, here comes Mrs. Gibbs and Mrs. Webb as they come down to make breakfast, just as though it were an ordinary day. Now, I don't have to point out to the woman in my audience that these two ladies that they see before them, both these ladies, cook 3 meals a day. One of them for 20 years, the other for 40. They raised 2 children apiece, washed, cleaned the house, and never a nervous breakdown. It's like one of those Middle West poets about to say, you've got to love life to have life. And you've got to have life to love life. It's what they call a vicious circle. Now, here comes Howie Newsome delivering the milk, and there comes cyclical delivering papers like his brother before him.
Morning, Howie.
Morning, C. Anything in the papers I ought to know?
Nothing much, except releasing about the best baseball pitcher Grove's Corner has ever had, George Gibbs.
Reckon news.
You know, I just don't understand how you could give up a thing like that, just to get married. Would you, Howie?
I couldn't tell, C. Never had no talent that way. You're early, Bill.
See if there's anything I can do to run a flood.
Well, Sacro over here is all worked up about George Gibbs retiring from baseball.
Yes, sir. That's the way it goes. Back in the 84s, we had a player. Besides, even George Gibbs couldn't touch him. Name of Hank Todd. Went down to Maine and became a parson. Wonderful ball player. Howie, how does the weather look here?
Tain't bad. Think maybe they'll clear for good.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs.
Do you think it's gonna rain again today?
It rained so heavy, I think maybe it'll clear up though. How much did you want today?
I think I'll need 3 milk and 2 cream. I'm gonna have a household relations today, Howie.
Well, my wife says to tell you that we both know that they'll be very happy, Mrs. Gibbs. No, they will.
Thank you, Howie. Hope to see you at the wedding.
Of course, of course. Morning, Mrs. Webb.
Good morning, Howie. I told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you could send me another.
Yep, and the 2 of cream?
Yes. Will it start raining again, Mr. Newsome?
Well, just saying to Mrs. Gibbs is how it may lighten up. My wife says to tell you that we both know that they'll be very happy, Mrs. Webb. No, they will.
Thank you, Mr. Newsome. And thank Mrs. Newsome. Oh, and we're counting on seeing you both at a church.
Of course, of course. Come on, Bessie.
Well, Mom, the day has come. You're losing one of your chicks.
Frank Gibbs, don't you say another word. I feel like crying every minute.
The groom's up shaving himself. Only thing is, we're not allowed to shave. Whistling and singing like his dad to leave us. Every now and then he says, I do, to the mirror, but it don't sound convincing to me.
I declare, Frank, I don't know how we'll get along. I've arranged his clothes, seen to it he's put warm things on. Frank, they're too young. Emily won't think of such things. George will catch his death of cold and cough within a week.
I was remembering my wedding morning, Julia.
Oh, now don't start with you, Frank Gibbs.
I was the scaredest young fella in the city of New Hampshire. I thought I made a mistake for sure. When I saw you coming down that aisle, I thought you were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. Only thing is, I'd never seen you before. There I was in the congregational church marrying a complete stranger.
And how do you think I felt? Frank, weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces, that's what they are.
How'd you sleep last night, Julia?
I heard a couple of hours of the clock struck off.
Yes. I get a shock every time I think of George setting out to be a family man. That great gangling thing. I told you, Julia, there's nothing so terrifying in this world as a son. The relationship of a father and son is the darndest, awkwardest.
Well, mother and daughter's no picnic either, let me tell you.
They'll have a lot of troubles, I suppose. But that's not our problem. Everybody has a right to their own troubles.
Yes. People are meant to go through life two by two. It ain't natural to be lonesome.
Do you know one of the things I was scared of when I married you, Julia?
Go along with you, Frank.
I was afraid we wouldn't have material for conversation, more or less just a few weeks. I was afraid we'd run out of new music talents. That's a fact. Well, me and you've been conversing now for 20 years without any noticeable wear spells.
Well, good weather, bad weather, it ain't very choice, but I always find something to say, don't I? By the way, have you heard Rebecca stirring around upstairs?
No, only the idea she hasn't been managing my business up there. She's hiding in her room. Got the impression she's crying.
Lord's sakes, this has got to stop. Rebecca! Rebecca, come down here!
Good morning, everybody. Only 5 hours to live.
George Gibbs, where do you think you're going?
I'm just stepping over the grass to see my girl.
George, you don't go out of here without you being prepared for it. You put on your overshoes. It's raining torrents out there.
But it's only a step.
George, you're gonna catch your death of cold and cough all throughout the service.
George, do as your mother tells you.
From tomorrow onwards, you can kill yourselves in all weathers. But while you live here, you'll live wisely. Thank you.
Be back in a minute.
George, you scared me.
I'm so sorry.
Now, George, you can come in a minute, but you know I can't let you in.
Why not?
George, you know as well as I do that the groom can't see the bride on the day of his wedding. Not until he sees her at the church.
That's just a superstition. Good afternoon, Mr. Webb.
Morning, George.
Mr. Webb, you don't believe in that superstition, do you?
But there's a lot of common sense in some superstitions, George.
Millions have followed it, George. You don't want to be the first one to fly in the face of custom.
How's Emily?
She hasn't woken up yet. I haven't heard her sound out of her all day.
Emily's asleep?
Well, no wonder. We were sewing and packing all hours. Now, I'll tell you what, George. Why don't you have a seat here with Mr. Webb? And I'll go upstairs and check on Emily and see that she doesn't come downstairs and surprise you, all right?
George.
I'm fine, Mr. Webb. Mr. Webb, you don't believe in that superstition, do you?
Well, you see, on our wedding morning, girls have to be full of clothes, one thing and another. Don't you think that's probably it?
Yes, yes. Well, I never thought of that. Girls have to be quite nervous on a wedding day. I wish a fella could get married without all that marching up and down.
Every man that's ever lived has felt that way about it, George. But it hasn't been any use. It's the women folk who've built up weddings, my boy. For a while now, the women have it all their own. That looks pretty small at a wedding, George. All those good women standing shoulder to shoulder.
But you believe in it, don't you, Mr. Webb?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Don't you misunderstand me, my boy. Marriage is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Don't you forget that.
Mr. Webb, how old were you when you got married?
Oh, age hasn't much to do with it, George. Not compared with other things.
Other things, you're saying?
Oh, I don't know. Was I going to say something? Ah, George, I was thinking the other night of some advice my father gave me when I got married. Charles, he said, Charles, start out early showing who's boss, he said. Best thing to do is to give an order, even if it doesn't make sense, just so she'll learn to obey. And if anything about your wife irritates you, her conversation or anything, just get up and leave the house. That'll make it clear to her, he said. And oh yes, he said never Never let your wife know how much money you have. Never.
But Mr. Webb, I don't think
So I took the opposite of my father's advice, and I've been happy ever since. Let that be a lesson to you, George. Never ask advice on personal matters.
George, Emily's got to come downstairs and eat her breakfast. She said you were loved, but she doesn't want to see you, so goodbye.
Goodbye.
Myrtle, guess you don't know about that older superstition.
What do you mean, Charles?
Since the cavemen, no bridegroom should ever see his father-in-law, or near it. Now remember that.
Now, I have to interrupt again here. You see, we want to know how all this began, this plan to spend a lifetime together. Well, you know how it is. You're 21 or 22, and you make some decisions. Then you wish. You're 70, you've been a lawyer for 50 years, and that white-haired old lady by your side has eaten 50,000 meals with you. How do such things begin? Well, George and Emily are now going to show you the conversation when they first knew that they were meant for one another. But before they do that, I want you to try and remember what it was like to have been young, and particularly the days when you were first in love, when you were like a person sleepwalking. You're just a little bit crazy. Will you remember that? Please? Now, they'll be walking out of high school at 3 p.m. George has just been elected the president of junior class. And as it's June, well, he'll be president of senior class all next year. And Emily has just been elected secretary. I don't have to tell you how important that is.
I can't, Louis. I've got to go home. Goodbye. Ernestine, can you come over and snack? Isn't that sincerely the worst thing? Tell your mother you have to. Goodbye. Oh, goodbye, Helen. Goodbye, Fred.
Goodbye, Johnny. Goodbye, William. I'll see you boys soon. Emily, mind if I carry the book for you?
Why, thank you. It isn't that far.
Why, I'm awfully glad you're elected too, Emily.
Thank you.
Emily, why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
You've been treating me so funny lately.
Well, since you asked me, I might as well say it, George. I don't like the whole change that has come over you in the last year. I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings, but I've got to tell the truth and shame the devil.
A change? What do you mean?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you a lot. And I used to watch you as you did everything. Because we'd been friends for so long. And then you began spending your time at baseball. And you never stopped to speak to anybody anymore. Not even to your own family you didn't. And George, that's a fact. You've got awfully conceited and stuck up, and all the girls say so. They may not say so to your face, but that's what they say behind your back. And it hurts me to hear them say it, but I've got to agree with them just a little. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I can't be sorry I said it.
I'm glad you said all that, Emily. I didn't realize that such a thing was happening to me. I guess it's hard for a fellow not to have fallen prey to their character.
Well, I always expect a man to be perfect, and I think he should be.
Oh, I don't think it's possible to be perfect, Emily.
Well, my father is. And as far as I can see, your father is. There's no reason on earth why you shouldn't be too.
Well, maybe it's the other way around. The men are not feeling good, but girls are.
You might as well know right now that I'm not perfect. It's not as easy for a girl to be perfect as a man. Because we girls are more nervous. I'm sorry I said all that. I don't know what made me say it.
Emily.
Now I can see that it's not the truth at all. And I suddenly feel like it isn't important anyway.
Emily, would you like an ice cream soda or something before you go home?
Why, thank you. I would.
Hello, George. Hello, Emily. What will you have? Why, Emily Webb? What have you been crying about?
She just got an awful scare, Mr. Morgan. She almost got hit by that hardware store wagon. Everybody says Tom Huck's drives like a crazy man.
Well, now, you look all shook up. I tell you, you gotta look both ways if you cross Main Street these days. Get worse every year. What will you have?
I'll have a strawberry phosphate. Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
No. How can ice cream soda with you? 2 strawberry ice cream sodas, Mr. Morgan.
2 strawberry ice sodas. Yes, sir. There they are. Enjoy them. Oh, Mr. Morgan, I'm coming.
They're so expensive.
No, Emily. Don't think of it like that. We're celebrating her election. And do you know what else I'm celebrating?
No.
Well, I'm celebrating because I got a friend that tells me all the things that's all to be told to me.
Oh, George, please don't think of that. I don't know what made me say it. You're...
No, Emily. You stick to it. I'm glad you're going to be like you did. But you'll see, I'm going to change so quick. You bet I'm going to change, Emily. And Emily, I'd like to ask you a favor.
What?
If I go to Agricultural State College next year, will you write me a letter once in a while?
I will, George. I certainly will. It certainly seems, being away 3 years, you get out of touch from things in Grover's Corners. Maybe letters from Grover's Corners wouldn't be so interesting after a while. Grover's Corners isn't anything compared to New Hampshire, but I think it's a very lovely town.
But that day would come when I would want to know everything that's happening here, Emily. I know that's true.
Well, I'll try to make my letters interesting.
You know, Emily, whenever I meet a farmer, I always ask them if it's important to go to Agricultural State College to be a good farmer.
Why, George?
And a lot of them say that it's even a waste of time. You can get all those things out from the pamphlet that the government sends out. And Uncle Luke's getting old. He's about ready to be taking over his farm. Tomorrow, if I could.
My. Well, I think it's awfully important, too.
Emily.
Yes, George?
Emily, if I make big changes and be a good person, could you be?
I am now. I always have been.
Guess this is an important talk we've been having.
Yes, yes.
May I help you home? This morning, I'll have to go home and grab the money to pay for all this. It'll only take me a minute.
What's that, John Gibbs? You mean to tell me?
Yes. But afterwards, look. Here's my gold watch to keep until I come back with the money.
It's alright, George. Keep it. I trust you.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
I trust you for 10 days, George. Not a day over. All of your stock, Emily?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Morgan. It was nothing.
I'm ready.
Well. Now we're ready to get on with the wedding. You see, there are a lot of things to be said about a wedding. There are a lot of thoughts that go on during the wedding. We all can't fit them into one wedding, naturally. And especially not into one at Grover's Corners, where they're awfully plain and short.
don't know why on earth I should be crying. Well, I suppose that there's nothing to cry about. It came over me at breakfast this morning. There was Emily, sitting and eating her breakfast as she's done for 17 years, and now is going to eat it at someone else's house. Oh, I've got to say it. There's something downright cruel about sending our daughters into marriage this way. I hope some of her friends have told her a thing or two about marriage. It's cruel, I know. But I couldn't bring myself to say anything. I went into it blind as a bat myself.
Mom, I want to get married. Why is everybody pushing me so?
You wanted
Oh,
this.
Mom, please listen to me.
No, George, you are a man now.
Mom, please. For the last time, all I want to be is a fella.
George, come here. Anyone can hear you. Stop. I'm ashamed of you.
Where's Emily?
George, you give me such a fright.
Cheer up, Mom. I'm getting married.
I've never felt so alone in my life. George, over there looking so. I hate him. I wish I were dead. Papa, Papa.
Emily, keep upset.
But Papa, I don't want to get married.
Everything's alright.
Why can't I stay for a while just as I am? Let's go away.
Oh, stop it. Think a minute.
But don't you remember you used to say, all the time you used to say that I was your girl? There must be a lot of places we can go to.
Shh. Let's think of such things. You're just nervous, Emily. George. Why, you're marrying the best young fellow in the world. George is a fine fellow.
But Papa.
Giving away my daughter, George. Do you think you can take care of her?
Mr. Webb, I want to try it. Emily, I'm going to do my best. I love you, Emily. I need you.
Well, if you love me, then help me. All I need is someone to love me.
I will, Emily. I will try.
And I mean forever. Do you hear me? Forever and ever.
Come, they're waiting for us. I know it'll be alright. Come quick.
Do you, George Gmis, take this woman, Emily Webb, to be your wedded wife to her?
I do.
Lovely wedding. Most loveliest wedding of all.
Do you, Emily Webb, take this man, George Gmis, to be your wedded husband?
I do.
Oh, I do love a good wedding. Don't you? My, doesn't she make the perfect bride?
I now pronounce you husband and wife.
years have gone by. Friends, summer 1913. Gradual changes around Grover's Corners. Horses are getting rarer. Farmers are coming to town in Fords. Everybody walks their house gates now at night. Ain't been any burglars yet, but everyone's heard about them. You'd be surprised though. On the whole, things don't change much around here. Now this is certainly an important part of Grover's Corner. It's on a hilltop. Lots of sky, lots of clouds, often lots of sun and moon and stars. There, quite a ways down, is Grover's Corners. Yes, beautiful spot up here. Mountain laurel and lilacs. Over there are the old stores. 1617, 1680. Strong-minded people that came a long way to be independent. Over here are some Civil War veterans, New Hampshire boys. This here is a new part of the cemetery. Here's your friend, Mrs. Gibbs. And let me see. There is Simon Stimson and Mrs. Soames. Oh, and a lot of others. Editor Webb's boy Wallace, whose appendix burst while on a Boy Scout trip to Crawford Notch. Now, there are some things that we all know, but we don't take them out and look at them very often. We all know that something is eternal. Everybody in their bones knows that something is eternal. And that something, well, has got to do with human beings. There's something way down deep that's eternal about every human being. Well, there are some living people. That's Joe Stoddard, our undertaker, supervising a new made grave. Oh, and here comes a Grover's Corners boy, who left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard.
Good afternoon. Wait, do I know you?
I'm Sam Craig, sir.
Gracious sake! Alive? Out of all people? I should have knew you were back for the funeral. You've been away for a long time, Sam.
Yes, I'm in business out in Buffalo now, Joe.
Very sad. How'd you make it there, Sam?
Yes.
Yes. You know, I always say I hate to supervise when a young person's taken.
Wow. That's my Aunt Julia. Oh, I'd forgotten that she...
Yes, Doc Gibb lost his wife 2-3 years ago, about this time. Well, today's another big blow for him too.
Sister Carrie's boy, Sam Craig. Simon.
Say, Joe, what'd she die of?
Who?
My cousin.
Oh, you didn't know? Had a problem bringing a baby to the world? To us, her second though. There's a boy about 4 years old.
And the grave's going to be over here?
Yes.
Who is it, Julia?
That's my daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
Well, I declare, the road up here must have been awful muddy. How did she die, Julia?
Childbirth.
Childbirth.
I'd forgotten all about that. My, wasn't life awful and wonderful?
Wonderful? Was it?
Simon, remember.
Hello.
Hello, Emily.
Hello, Mother Gibbs.
Hello, Emily.
It's raining.
Yes, dear. They'll be gone soon. Just rest yourself.
It seems thousands and thousands of years since Papa remembered that was my favorite hymn. Oh, I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here. How do you do, Mr. Stinson?
How do you do, Emily?
Mother Gibbs, George and I have made that farm into just the best place you ever saw. We thought of you all the time, and we wanted to show you the new barn, the rain-long cement drinking fountain for the stock. We bought that out of the money you left us.
I did?
Don't you remember, Mother Gibbs? The legacy you left us. Why, it was over $350.
Yes, Emily.
Well, there is a painted device on the drinking fountain so that it never overflows, Mother Gibbs, and it never sinks below a certain mark they have there. It's fine. It won't be the same to George without me, but I think it's a very lovely farm. Live people don't understand, do they?
No, dear. Not very much.
They're sort of shut up in little boxes, aren't they? I feel as though I knew them less 1,000 years ago. My boy is spending the day at Mrs. Morgan's. Mother Gibbs, we have a Ford too. Never gives any trouble. I don't drive though. Mother Gibbs, when does this feeling go away? Of being one of them? How long is it?
Just be patient and rest yourself, dear.
I know. Look, they're finished. They're going. Oh, look. Father Gibbs is bringing some of my flowers to you. He looks just like George, doesn't he? Oh, Mother Gibbs, I never realized how alone and how in the dark life people are. Look at him. I loved him so. From morning till night, that's all they are. Troubled.
Little cooler than it was.
Yes, the rain's cooled it off a little.
Those northeast winds always do the same thing, don't they?
If it ain't rain, then it's a 3-day blow.
But Mother Gibbs, one can go back. One can go back there, into the living, again. I feel it. I know it. Why, just then for a moment, I was thinking about the farming, and for a moment I was there. And
Yes, of course you can.
I can go back and live all those days over again. Why not?
All I can say is, Emily, don't.
But it's true, isn't it? I can go back and live all those days over again.
Yes, well, some have tried. But they soon come back here.
Don't do it, Emily.
Emily, don't. It's not what you think it'd be.
But I won't live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy day anyway. I'll choose the day I first knew that I loved George. Why should that be painful?
Because you not only live it, but you watch yourself living it.
Yes?
And as you watch yourself living it, you see the thing that they down there don't. You see the future. You know what's going to happen afterwards.
But is that painful? Why?
That's not the only reason why you shouldn't do it, Emily. When you've been here longer, you'll understand that our life here is just to forget all that and to prepare for what's ahead and be ready for what's ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand.
But Mother Gibbs, how can I ever forget that life? It's all I knew, it's all I had.
It's not wise, Emily. Really, it isn't.
But it's a thing I must know for myself. I'll choose a happy day anyway.
No. At least choose an unimportant day. Choose the least important day of your life. It will be important enough.
Then it can't be since I was married, or since the baby was born. I can choose a birthday at least, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
All right, 12th birthday. February 7th, 1899. Do you want any specific time of the day?
Oh, I want the whole day.
Well, we'll begin at dawn.
Why, there's Main Street. And that's Mr. Morgan's drugstore before he changed it. And that's the livery stable.
Yes, this is 14 years ago.
Oh, this is a town I knew as a little girl. And look, there's the old white fence that used to be on her house. I'd forgotten that. I love it so. Are they inside?
Your mother will be coming downstairs in a minute to make breakfast.
Will she?
Oh, and as you know, your dad had been away for several days. He just came back on the early morning train.
No.
Oh. Well, he had been back to New York to make a speech in his college at Clinton.
Why, there's Howie Newsome. And that's our policeman. But he's dead. He died.
Whoa, Bessie. Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Howie.
You're up early.
Been rescuing a party. Darn near froze to death down by the Polish town.
Good morning, Mr. Warren. Good morning, Howie.
Children, Emily, Wally, time to get up.
Oh, Mama. Oh, how young Mama looks. I never knew Mama was ever that young.
You can come and dress by the kitchen fire if you like, but hurry up. Good morning, Mr. Newsome. It's cold.
10 below my bar, Mrs. Webb.
Think of it. Keep yourself wrapped up.
Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear, that's all. I laid it out for you special. On the dresser there. If it were a snake, it would bite you.
Yes. Yes.
Morning, Bill.
Morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early.
Yes, just back to my old college in New York State. In any trouble here?
Well, boss called up this morning to rescue a Polish fella. Down here froze to death. He was.
We must get it in the paper. Well, goodbye, Bill.
Goodbye, Mr. Webb.
Papa.
Morning, Mother.
How did it go, Charles?
Oh, fine, I guess. Told him a few things. Everything all right here?
Yes. Can't think of anything special. Been right cold.
Well, yes. It's colder than that at Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. Paper have any mistakes in it?
None that I noticed. Charles, don't forget it's Emily's birthday. Did you remember to get her something?
Yes, I've got something here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Don't interrupt her now, Charles. She's slow enough as it is. You can come and see her at breakfast. Children, Emily, Wally, hurry up. It's 7 o'clock. Now I don't want to call you again.
Oh, I can't bear it. They're so young and beautiful. Why did they ever have to get old? Oh, Mama, I'm here. I love you, all everything. I can't look at everything hard enough. Good morning, Mama.
Well now, dear, a very happy birthday to you and many happy returns. There are some surprises for you on the kitchen table.
Oh, Mama, you shouldn't have. I can't.
But birthday or no birthday, I want you to eat your breakfast good and slow. I want you to grow up to be a good, strong girl. Now, that in the blue paper is from your Aunt Carrie, and I reckon you can guess who brought in the postcard album. I found it by the doorstep when I was bringing in the milk. George Gibbs. He must have come in the cold, pretty early morning just to bring it in. Right nice of him.
Oh, George. I'd forgotten that.
Chew that bacon good and slow. It'll help keep you warm on a cold day.
Oh, Mama. Just look at me 1 minute as though you really saw me. Mama, 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. Your grandmother, Mama. I married George Gibbs. Wally's dead too. His appendix burst in a camping trip to North Conway. We just felt terrible about it. Don't you remember? But just for a moment now that we're together, just for a moment now that we're happy, let's look at one another.
That, in the yellow paper, is something I found among your grandmother's things. You're old enough to wear it now, and I thought you'd like it.
And this is from you. Oh, it's lovely, and it's just what I wanted. It's beautiful.
Oh. Well, I hope that you liked it. I hunted all over. Your Aunt Laura couldn't find one here in Concord, so I had to send it all the way to Boston. Now, Wally here has a surprise too. He made it at my own trading camp, so be sure you make a big fuss about it, alright? And your father here has a surprise too. Though I don't know what it is myself. Shh, here he comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't bear it. It goes on so fast. We don't have time to look at one another. I never realized all that was going on, and we never noticed. Take me back, up the hill to my grave. But wait, one more look. Goodbye. Goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corners. Mama and Papa. Goodbye to Mama's sunflowers, and food, and coffee, and clocks ticking, and new iron dresses, and hot baths. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anyone to realize you. Does any human being ever realize life while they live it? Every minute?
No. The saints and poets, maybe. They do.
I'm ready to go back.
Well, were you happy?
No. I should have listened to you. That's all they are. Blind people.
Look, the sky's clearing up. The stars are coming out.
Oh, Mr. Stimson, I should have listened to them.
Yes, now you know. Now you know. That's what it was to be alive. To move about in a cloud of ignorance. To go up and down, trampling on the feelings of those about you. To span and waste time as though you had a million years. To be always at the mercy of oneself's compassion or another. Now you know. That's the happy existence you wanted to go back to. Ignorance and blindness.
Simon Stimson, that ain't the whole truth and you know it. Emily, look at that star. I forgot its name.
Mother Gibbs, it's George.
Dear, just rest yourself.
It's George.
That ain't no way to behave.
He ought to be home. Mother Gibbs,
Yes, Emily?
they don't understand, do they?
No, dear. They don't understand.
Mother Gibbs, look at that star.
Most everybody can sleep in Grover's Corners. There are a few lights on. Shorty Hawkins is down at the depot, has just watched the Albany train go by. And at the livery stable, somebody's setting up late and talking. Yes, it's clearing up. There are the stars with their old crisscross journeys in the sky. Scholars haven't settled the matter just yet, but they seem to believe there are no living beings up there, just chalk or fire. Only this one is straining away all the time to make something out of itself. The strain is so bad that every 16 hours, everybody lies down and gets a rest. $11 at Grover's Corners. You get a good rest too. Good night.
ladies and gentlemen, students, parents, and theatre lovers of Bali. During the pandemic, we all realized how important are family ties and how important are the relations that we enjoy or take them for granted most of the time. We understood that emotional closeness is crucial. This metaphysical play, Our Town, that we have selected for this year for the senior school, talks about relationships and their importance. Family, the unit that unites us and keeps us sane through hard times. Even when things are not right, it is our people who understand us and stand by us no matter what happens. We thought it was just the apt play to choose. We have done all sorts of plays, but this one is different. We tried a metaphysical play. The stage was open at all times from start to end, with minimal props. Tonight, we witnessed some brilliant performances by the students. Each performer was deeply sunk into the character he or she was portraying. It was truly impressive. The costumes were appropriate. The music was very good. The stage light and the spotlight had to be good. So it was. The dance was delightful. I stand today as a very proud principal as I see that our students work together as a team and make us proud with their pleasing demeanor. Congratulations, dear students. Let me acknowledge you one by one. On backstage and on stage assistants, Robin, Alan, Yukai, Sehan, the boys, these boys were equally part of the play since they had to be on stage. The dancers gave the lift to our play. They added color, charm, and vivacity to the play. Jasmine, Aaron, Elizabeth, Amanda, Kaya, Joy, Dylan, Tobias, Anais, Rebecca, Joseph, Sophie, Conrad, Elena, Leon, Allegra, Rama, Angeli, and Deb. We have some actors whose existence was limited, but they captured every moment. They were seemingly effortlessly playing the time that is more than a century ago. Acting is all about action and reaction. Each reaction was so appropriate with the action. It was a treat to watch. Eloan, the pastor, George as Professor Miller, Anya as Mrs. Soames, Kevin as Simon Stimson, Adi Verma as Constable Warren, Joanna as Sam Craig, Zach they were scolding, they actually were. And when they were gossiping, they were drenched in the emotion of that moment. When they were caring and affectionate. Evelyn as Mrs. Webb, and Nicole as Mrs. Gibbs. Both the siblings were effortless and relatable, just like our families. Brilliant work, children. Shuri as Wally Webb. And Jasmine as Rebecca Gibbs. The handsome man was so lost in the love of his life that he looked adorable, trying to win over the heart of his lady love. Fozzie was absolutely convincing as George Gibbs. The lady felt the pulse of varied emotions that she was to go through during her short span of life. She was innocently charming because of the correct emotions surfacing on her visage. Luna as Emily Webb. The right catalyst who was unaffected by the life of the town and yet was deeply affected. Very impressive. Kanishka as stage manager. Boys and girls, I congratulate you once again. You made us proud today. Thank you very much, dear parents and sponsors who have very generously and many a time anonymously supported us in a little effort of making a difference in the lives of the people of our community who need our love, support and attention. As I always say, I must say once again, it takes the entire village to bring up a child and people working behind the scenes. The teachers, let me congratulate you. Please come one by one and take a bow. Directors, Ms. Neha Mishra and Mr. Arun Mishra. Choreography David. Stage life, Mr. Muhammad. Curtain, Mr. Mukesh and Mr. Gulshan. Photography, Mr. Wayan. Video, Mr. Rama. Discipline, Nadia, Nara, believing in the philosophy of IB, think globally and act locally, we extend our humble gesture to support some NGO which work for the local community. Through this play, we wish to reach out to Elishama Foundation, which works for homeless young boys and girls. We feel privileged that we can support them by offering them little help. We are giving them daily utilities. This is with all humility we wish to present. May I invite Ibu Omar Edi and Ms. Monita to come and receive the humble gift from the entire school community of GMIS.